What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into this video, shout out to the brother Zach Hankins for once again showing love to Too Raw for TV with the donation to the channel via the Cash App. Salute to you for showing love once again. All right, so Ukrainian President Vladimir, I guess how his first name is pronounced, right? Vladimir Zelensky was in Washington, D.C. after reversing his decision on this deal to sign a deal which would give the United States, I believe, 50% of the profits that would be earned by the Ukrainian government from rare minerals that I believe, I guess, were found in the country. And Trump and Zelensky were supposed to have a scheduled joint conference, I guess more or less to show that the partnership between the United States and Ukraine continues in this new administration. Because we all know when Biden was president, Zelensky could just come over here as he pleased and just get whatever the hell he wanted, anytime, any place, and Biden would do it non-conditionally. Although, I think there's some reasons why Biden was so lenient with it. If you read between the lines, his son, the money laundering, etc., etc. Don't want to go too far into that. But this was explosive. They got into a tremendous back and forth. Zelensky and Vance first, and then Trump. And Trump basically accused Zelensky that his actions, his lack of appreciation, plus, as he said, his increasing recklessness dealing with Russia would lead to World War III. I mean, this was crazy.
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are
Mr.
not
President,
strong...
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring people, you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military?
We have problems.
And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
That.
You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on
position
this
to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly
this.
what
I'm not
You're
dictating.
in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From
yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a
Brown,
good position.
I
You don't
was
have
in
the cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing
cards.
cards.
But right now, you don't.
I'm very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're gambling
I'm the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You're
gambling with World War III.
What do you think
You're
about?
gambling with
What do you
World
think
War
about?
III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. It's
with
back
all
to
respect to
you.
your
Far
country.
more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once?
A lot of
Entire meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States
what
of
are you speaking
America
about?
and the president who's trying to save your country.
Man, there's a lot to digest there, isn't it? I'm going to say something that a lot of people may disagree with, and nobody's really pointing out. Honestly, um, I think JD Vance is out of line talking to Zelensky like that. Now, I know this was somewhat organized and orchestrated. It was pre-orchestrated, I should say. JD Vance is not the head of any state. He's the vice president of the United States. Now, he is a heartbeat away from the presidency, but he's not the head of state of any country. When you look at the protocol of how these things run, Trump could talk to Zelensky in that manner, even though it would still be out of line. But JD Vance is not the head of anything. He should not be talking to Zelensky in that manner, period. That's just in my opinion. He should not be talking in that manner, okay? Trump to me is obviously, we all know how Trump is with Russia. We know the rumors about his past business dealings with Russia. We know that it's been rumored that Putin, he's basically a puppet for Putin. When he was reelected president, the Russian news media was showing footage of Melania in lingerie, almost like a power maneuver they were doing. Like, yeah, you still are a bitch, almost like, you're still Mother Russia's bitch. So it's like, we always got to be careful with Trump because he could be basically speaking from Putin's script himself. It's almost like if Putin was there, that's what Putin would be saying to Zelensky. You know what I'm saying? That's how I look at that too when it comes to Trump. Posturing. He wants to talk tough. He's not going to talk like that to Israel. He's not going to talk to a country that has nukes like that. And by the way, it aggravates the hell out of me, like everybody, that Ukraine constantly comes to the United States. Seems like right before Biden left, he approved more funding and more military aid to Ukraine. And here he comes, Zelensky. That was what? The very beginning of January. Here we are, the first days of March. I think when this happened, the last days of February, here he goes begging for more money, this time for more money. It's annoying. It is. But as annoying as it is, and what really gets me is his smug demeanor. And also, bro, I understand we have different cultures and all that, in our world or whatever. But can't you come to the White House and the Oval Office dressed better than that? Can't you wear a goddamn suit? You come in there like you're in the trenches or something. What is that he got on anyway? Like black fatigues? What is that? With boots? Come on, man. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I think that's just disrespectful. But the reason why the United States and certain countries in Ukraine, certain countries in Europe give Ukraine so much aid is because of an agreement that was reached, I think it was in 1993 or 94. So what happened was, after the dissolvement of the Soviet Union, between 1992 and 93 into 94, Ukraine actually had the second largest stockpile of nuclear weapons after the United States and then Russia. Ukraine was rather disorganized at that point in time. Ukraine was no longer part of the Soviet Union, technically. So there was an agreement that the Ukraine government would get rid of its nuclear stockpile. Now, I forgot exactly where those nukes went. They might have went to the United States. Maybe someone went to the United States. Maybe someone went to Russia. But anyway, as Ukraine became its own sovereign nation, they agreed to get rid of their nuclear stockpile in exchange for basically protection from the United States and certain countries in Europe. That was the arrangement. So that's why they always come to us for aid, because that's part of the agreement. I forgot the name of the agreement, but anyway, at that point in time, Boris Yeltsin was the president of Russia. he's the one that became president of the Russian Federation, which basically became the more recognized head of the Russian government, where after the 1991 coup, Mikhail Gorbachev became basically a figurehead, and the Soviet Union almost wasn't even recognized as the power of Russia / Federal Soviet Union, and they ceased to exist Christmas Day 1991. And then after that, it was Boris Yeltsin. But this was at a time when Russia was pro-democracy, and also this was the best relations that the United States had with Russia. After Boris Yeltsin resigned December 31st, 1999, Vladimir Putin, a former KGB agent, came to power. And after that, you saw a gradual shift in the relation between Russia and the United States. Russia started sliding into becoming more of an imperialistic nation. We weren't quite sure what Putin was trying to do. You started seeing a recession of democratic freedoms to a certain extent. You saw Putin crack down on freedom of the press. You started seeing political opponents being deleted or imprisoned. He even went after billionaires. And Putin basically uses the mob, which had at one point in time had a tremendous influence over the government. Putin basically made the mob his hit squad. I mean, Putin is the unquestioned leader of Russia. He's a despot. And while he's president, he's basically dictator. He's also had designs on re-annexing Crimea, aka the Ukraine, because there have always been a heavy population of Russians that live in Ukraine. And there's always been some territorial questions about whether Kiev is actually part of Russia or not. So basically, Putin feel like Ukraine is a part of Russia. So we that's us. That should be part of our territory. So they don't even recognize Ukraine. So since 2013, 14, he's been more aggressive in trying to annex Ukraine to Russia. And since 2022, this war has been raging. Now, when it comes to Ukraine, I don't have the sympathy everybody else have. When you look at their government, the government is littered with neo-Nazis. I remember there were black people that was over there at the beginning of the war trying to help some of the Ukrainians, and you hear these people say how the Ukrainians was calling them the N-words and cussing them out and didn't want their help, but disrespecting them and beating them up. And so I don't have any sympathy for them, none. And Zelensky, to me, does get on my nerves, and he seems so entitled and beholden. And I don't really feel anything for him. But look, this is the thing too. Ukraine is in a precarious situation. They are running out of manpower and weapons. And it's getting to a point now, too, if the relationship between Ukraine and the United States gets even worse, Zelensky may have to step down, because Ukraine, they depend on us too much. And if Trump and the American people, which I still think it's 50-50 with this country, but if the American people somehow just started tiring of this whole situation, because let's not forget, Russia did attack Ukraine first. So I always try to remember that. But still, you know, as far as Ukraine joining NATO, that's not going to happen until if they win, then if Ukraine somehow wins this war, there's a ceasefire, and Russia somehow recognizes Ukraine as their own sovereign nation, then Ukraine may join NATO. But it's not going to happen while Ukraine is fighting Russia, because there is a rule with NATO, and that is if a NATO affiliated nation is attacked, then it's considered an attack on all NATO. And all those nations are then pretty much beholden to go to war. We don't want to go to war with Russia. That would be disastrous. So that's partially why Trump was talking about World War III and all these other things. But look, at the end of the day, I'm not siding with one or the other. I mean, yeah, I'm an American citizen, and I do get tired of goddamn Zelensky. I'm tired of him. I'm tired of this war. I'm tired of hearing about Ukraine. I'm tired of all this shit, right? But at the same time, with Trump and Vance, I know who they're rooting for to a certain extent. I know who Trump is beholden to. Like I said, Trump is not going to talk like this to Israel, any country that has nukes or something like that. Not going to talk to Israel like that. And J.D. Vance, to me, was out of pocket talking to a sitting president of another nation. He's not in that position. He's outranked. He shouldn't be talking like that. You need to apologize, and how dare you? Nigga, you was a vice president. Shut your ass up. Should you even be there? If anything, the Secretary of State should be sitting there, not fucking J.D. Vance. But anyway, that's just my take on it. Tell me what you guys think.